I have literally just caught up to the Dandadan manga today, so I figure I might as well do chapter reviews for it when it comes out on Monday. This video won't be scripted and edited because I just want to get it out as soon as, because I've literally just caught up to the manga now. Like right now, I've caught up to it. So I just want to get my thoughts out as quickly as possible. I've got my notes. And yeah, loads of Dandadan videos on this channel. I'll explain more later, but there we go. But anyway, let me just start off with this. We have this amnesia arc going on, and in terms of the Dandadan fandom, from what I've seen, everybody is freaking out over this amnesia arc, and they're like, wow, all of that progress we've made has sort of resetted. But my take on it is that technically you could say it's resetted, but in a way it hasn't, because we've seen from the way Momo is treating Okarun, like how she in the previous chapter to this 214, how she literally grabs him and says, tell me, it's putting, she's still playing her role of being the person that's a bit more, I guess, direct and abrasive, and she's almost helping him to develop more as a character, because he has to like really really go out and confess. And we saw that in this chapter that he did. She asks him the question, do you love me or something, and he's like, yeah, I love you. So I think it does help his character at least. So I don't think it's a total waste having this amnesia arc. And maybe also, maybe I'm biased and I admit this, because I always used to get low key annoyed with other people when they would catch up to my favorite series in a short amount of time. And they would have totally different opinions to me because they binge chapters. Like certain arcs are different when you binge them, comparing them from week to week. And I'll get more onto this specific point later, but maybe the reason why I'm not so pissed off with the amnesia thing is because I've literally gone through the 4 or 5 chapters in the space of an hour or so. So to me, it's not as agonizing as waiting week to week to see the way it develops. So fair enough. But still, I still don't think it's that bad. And I think sooner or later, within the next couple of chapters, this amnesia arc should wrap up. I don't think it's going to be a long chapter. I don't think it's going to be a long arc. The last few arcs in Dandadan have been like 10 to 15 chapters. The Typhoon arc, and then before that, I forgot the name of it, but there's another mini arc, and then there's the arc with the girl, the pygmy arc or whatever, right? So the last few arcs have been short. I think this is going to be another short arc. I think after we fight the Serpos, this whole thing will be over. So I don't think we have to worry too much about the amnesia. But let's just get on to the highlight of this chapter for me, and this is Miko and Mirko. I think these two characters are fantastic. I know Shonanoji made a video about this, and I need to go watch that previous video, and he's done a live stream about this today as well. I think they're really great characters because in a series that sort of has a similar sort of setup, like early Bleach, right? Where it's like you have the supernatural stuff going on, but we have a normal school setting where everybody else doesn't have powers and stuff. We got introduced to characters like Keigo and Totsuki, and they were pretty cool. But throughout the series, they became less and less relevant, and I feel as though Miko and Mirko have always played their role in the series. And for this series, it's not like the whole, it's a romance, right? So that's the main crux of it, I guess. So, and it's what, I won't say it's the only thing pushing forward the narrative, but it's a very big part of the narrative. They've always come in clutch to help push Okarun closer to Momo. Like, especially last time where she got a job, and then they were like, Okarun, come with us. And they take him to see her at the maid cafe, and she has the sort of really crazy reaction to that. And I think there's just such great characters because they actually come in clutch here. They like take Okarun to the museum and they go see the mummy stuff, and they run off, like good wing women, right? They take them there and then they run off. So those two are just left alone. And I think that was just perfect. They played their role. They, even though they don't have powers and they're not a part of all of this crazy alien stuff and the balls, they're always there. And they feel like not just like these sort of throwaway extra characters to fill up the school. They really do feel like they play their role as I would say tertiary characters, because they're not main characters, they're not secondary characters, they're very much tertiary characters that help fill up the world instead of just being extras. So shout out to them. So Momo enjoyed talking to Okarun in the museum. She was like, wow. Or not even talking to him. She talks to him a bit, but he's mainly talking at her about like all of these interesting facts, which was quite nice. She's like, I don't know much about this stuff. Well, she says something along the lines of, I don't know much about this stuff, but it's interesting when you talk about it. And that was kind of nice. So you can see, like, I feel as though very deep in her subconscious, she knows this guy is important, which is why she felt weird when, like, she said in 2 chapters ago that she felt this really weird presence at the door, and then when he popped in she was like, oh, that's where that weird feeling's coming from. So I feel as though really deep down in her subconscious she knows this guy's important, but she can't like bring that up into her conscious mind about how important Okarun is. So Okarun later on, like I've already said this, later on in the chapter, they're walking home, they're on their like way home, the usual thing. And it's just kind of funny. Like Momo's acting kind of funny. She's like, "Oh man, so you're just gonna walk all the way home with me? Yikes!" And then she said the previous thing. Are you using all of like this is in the previous chapter? She said, "Are you using all of this occult stuff as a way of like seducing me?" Yeah. So I think she's really really funny in this amnesia mode. But she's like, "Oh, do you love me?" And he's like, "I love you." Blah blah blah. And they have like this really cute argument where she's like, I love you and you love me too. And she's like, no, how do you know? How can you say that? They're arguing, it's crazy. And then all of a sudden, Dandadan has its twists. It goes black and they go into empty space. And empty space is one of the coolest concepts in this series. I'm in love with Dandadan at the moment because of the way it plays around with different concepts. And I think empty space is really cool. And they go into empty space. The Serpos show up, a whole gang of Serpos show up, but not only a whole gang of Serpos show up. There's this person in the middle on a bicycle, and I don't know who that is. Anyone, if you guys are read Dandadan as well, I don't know who that is. Who the hell is that? The guy on the bicycle? Is it a new guy or is it someone we've known from before? And then there's the end of the chapter. Now, overall, I think this is a very cool chapter. I personally think within the next 2 or 3 chapters, Momo will have her memory back, or probably by the end of this fight. I think the trigger will really be the Ken Takakura thing, because that's been sort of a running theme. Every time he says that, she kind of freaks out, and I feel as though that will jolt her memory. So the guys that have been theorizing that, because I've been seeing comments about this, right? He's going to say Ken Takakura, and she's going to like freak out and remember. I do genuinely think you guys are right with that theory. I think that's totally gonna happen. And by the way, season 2's, because I didn't cover season 2 on this channel, which is my biggest regret of this channel this year, is that I didn't continue, like I didn't just do good episode reviews like season 1 for this channel. I should have done that for season 2. I love the fact that they took from episode 1 with the explosion and then zooming into Momo. I love the fact that at the end of season 2 they did the exact same thing. That was so cool. So I think we're going to get a moment just like that with this sort of memory loss thing. He's going to say that and she's just going to jolt in. So another thing I want to say is that, coming back to the point I made right at the start of this video about like being a binge reader versus a weekly reader, you guys had to suffer through an entire year of Momo being small. That whole arc of her being, or not even arc, because it was over the span of a couple of arcs within the story, but that just her whole role of being small. Actually, no, it was 3 arcs. Yeah, 3 arcs. Because during the yeah, it was 3 arcs. It's over a year, like well over a year. You guys had to sit with her being small, which is kind of nuts. Because literally, because she becomes small after the Dunmarama arc, right? Because that's the consequence of her being like, of her, the curse still being on her. And then obviously Enji, is it Unji, sorry. Obviously Unji's blind now, or was blind until he got cured. But oh, well over a year you guys had to deal with that. And the same thing, sorry, this is taking me so long to get to this point. The same thing for Okarun's powers. Like, he still doesn't have his powers. Like, Turbo Granny's been gone out of the story for more than a year as well. And Okarun hasn't had his power for over a year as well, too. Yeah, because he lost it as soon as he got back his second ball. And I made a video once where I said, imagine if they hit, imagine if they got a home run with his ball, you know, when they did the baseball thing, and that actually happened. That was hilarious. Anyways, yeah, ever since that happened, they gave the power back to Turbo Granny. She's gone, and then he doesn't have his powers. So going back to the end of this chapter where the Serpos show up and the guy on the bicycle, I wonder how far Okarun's training has gone. Like, is he on those like sort of Gigi levels to where Gigi was able to at least do a sort of small glimpse of the evil gun? Because he had to develop it over the Space Globalist arc, right? But is he at a point to where he can like kind of use a little bit of the powers that he's gained from his training with the like chi training? I know he's more athletic and like probably more stronger in terms of like just raw strength, because we saw that when they were doing the fitness exams, he was really fast and he could throw further. So I know he's probably got better hands than he did at the start of the series, but I'm wondering if he's learned any techniques, especially with that small stick that he was given that Granny Seiko gave to him. There's Manjiro gave it to him, but Manjiro got it from Granny Seiko. So I wonder what's going on there. But anyway, I think that's it for the most part. I enjoyed this chapter. Tell me down below what your thoughts are on all of the things that I've said. Next week, this will be a scripted and edited, or at the very least, this is going to be an edited video with pictures and editing out all of the crap where I'm like forgetting my words and fumbling over. It'll be a better video than this, but just bear with me for now because I literally just caught up like before recording this video. For the past 5-6 days, I've been slowly catching up on Dandadan. I started from chapter 1, which, my God, I think every anime only should just read Dandadan from chapter 1, even if they don't want to go on to the Space Globalist arc. I believe just reading for the Turbo Granny arc to the Kaiju arc, it does so much for it. It does a lot. It does a lot. I'll make a whole separate video on that, but man, they owe it to themselves to see Tatsu's amazing artwork. Oh, this guy is a god. He's amazing. I'm glazing him a bit too much, but his art's good. But I've got so much to talk about with Dandadan. I've got a whole entire like Milanote page filled out with Dandadan ideas. So I'll talk about this more later, but I'll wrap it up for now. I will see you guys very soon with most likely another Dandadan video, because that's going to be the main focus on the channel for now is Dandadan. I might sprinkle in other animes here and there, but I think focusing on Dandadan is the best choice for me. And I'll tell you that on another video as well. But let's just end this first chapter review here for now. Chapter review for Dandadan 215. Hopefully we get loads more of this. And hopefully, you know what would really suck? I want to actually say this on this video right now, just in case it does happen. It would suck if Dandadan ended within the next 50 chapters. I would be so mad